Binah is not a goddess in the mythological sense of a being with temples and statues, but in the mystical landscape of the Kabbalistic tree of life, she stands as one of the most powerful feminine principles ever conceived, a vast spiritual presence that has been poetically personified for centuries as the Great Mother, the cosmic womb from which structure, order, and form emerge. To speak of Binah is to step into the realm of divine architecture, where the infinite potential of the universe begins to shape itself into something recognizable, where the first boundaries of existence are drawn, and where the understanding of creation takes root. In the sequence of emanations, Binah occupies the third position, but in terms of depth, she is the first place where the infinite begins to become knowable. Mystics describe her as a silent sea, a great dark ocean of wisdom, a presence both tender and severe, compassionate and uncompromising. She is the principle that gives form to force, shaping chaos into structure the way a sculptor shapes clay with steady hands. If Chakma is the flash of inspiration, the lightning bolt of pure potential, then Binah is the one who receives that lightning and holds it, giving it definition, grounding it in a vessel strong enough to bear its brilliance. Binah is often described as the mother of the 7 lower spheres, for from her the entire tree begins its descent into manifest reality. She is the matrix through which all forms pass before they can exist. In poetic terms, she is the divine womb, the archetype of motherhood in its most cosmic sense. But this motherhood is not the sentimental version often painted in modern imagination. It is vast, primordial, and powerful, a force that contains both birth and limitation, nourishment and boundary. Binah is understanding, but this understanding is not intellectual analysis. Rather, it is the deep comprehension that comes from seeing the essence within a thing, the ability to perceive the structure behind existence. The word Binah itself comes from a root meaning to discern or to distinguish, and so she is the principle that separates, that defines, that gives edges to the formless. Without Binah, nothing could take shape. Without her, creation would remain an unmanifest sea of possibilities, with no pathways or architecture. Mystics have long described Binah as veiled in darkness, not because she is malevolent, but because she exists before light becomes light as humans understand it. She is compared to the night sky before the stars appear, the moment before dawn where stillness reigns. Within her darkness lies the seed of clarity. She is the womb that holds the spark of Chakma, and from that union the universe begins to unfold. When Kabbalists meditate on Binah, they speak of descending into a depth that is both comforting and overwhelming, like sinking into warm water that encompasses everything. This is not a darkness of fear, but of potential, a place where thought becomes intuition, where complexity becomes coherence, and where the soul recognizes truths too deep for ordinary language. Binah's influence in the human experience is profound. She is the aspect within consciousness that allows us to understand patterns, to derive meaning, to see connections. She is the one who transforms a flash of insight into a fully formed concept. She is the presence behind introspection, the quiet voice that explains without words. In emotional terms, she is the force of deep compassion, not the gentle sympathy of ordinary kindness, but the immense, boundless, unconditional compassion that sees suffering with total clarity and responds with both love and strength. This compassion is sometimes called the severity of love, because it holds boundaries as an expression of care. Binah knows that structure is necessary for growth, that discipline is a form of nurturing, that limitation is what allows potential to become real. In this way, she embodies both the kindness that comforts and the discipline that shapes. In Kabbalistic cosmology, Binah is often symbolized as the supernal mother, a figure who exists above the visible world yet gives birth to it. In meditative imagination, she is a throne, a sea, a temple, or a black-robed queen whose presence radiates serenity and unshakable authority. Her color is often described as deep black or dark indigo, the color of infinite depth. Her planetary correspondence, in symbolic terms, is Saturn, not the Saturn of astrology's daily predictions, but the archetypal Saturn of cosmic order, structure, and the passage of time. Through this association, she becomes connected to the idea that creation must unfold within limits, That time itself is a container that permits the evolution of the soul. In this symbolism, Binah is not the bringer of limitation as punishment, but as the architect of a cosmos where growth is possible. The ancient mystics believed that to truly approach Binah was to approach the border of what the human mind can handle. She is the gateway between the infinite and the finite, the last stop before creation begins to descend into the lower worlds. Her position on the tree of life is the top of the left pillar, the pillar of form, boundaries, discipline, and structure. From her downward flows the energy that shapes the worlds into stability and coherence. In some traditions, she is associated with sorrow, not the sorrow of despair, but the profound, compassionate sorrow that arises from understanding the full story of existence, from seeing both the joy and pain woven into the fabric of life. This sorrow is said to be the sorrow of the divine who understands all things and feels all things, yet supports creation with infinite endurance. Modern interpreters often see Binah as the archetype of divine feminine order, the cosmic mother who holds the universe in her lap, shaping it with wisdom older than stars. In personal symbolic practice, people connect with Binah through contemplation of silence, stillness, deep meditation, and introspection. Some imagine a vast ocean, others a dark sky, others a great motherly figure who radiates quiet strength. These images are metaphors that help the mind grasp a principle far beyond form. Binah is not a goddess with a specific face or story, but a raw cosmic quality, a principle of divine structure and understanding that transcends the boundaries of myth. When people meditate on her qualities, they may focus on the ideas of discipline that is compassionate, understanding that is intuitive, and creation that requires limits to flourish. In the psychological dimension, Binah represents a person's ability to comprehend life's complexities with patience and maturity. She is the voice within that says growth takes time, that wisdom emerges from experience, that boundaries are necessary for well-being. She teaches that understanding is not merely gathering information, but seeing the deeper meaning within events, relationships, and experiences. She shows that compassion is strongest when paired with strength, and that true insight requires the humility to sit in silence long enough for truth to rise to the surface. Many people who explore Kabbalistic symbolism find that connecting with Binah helps cultivate emotional resilience, clarity of thought, and the ability to hold steady during life's uncertainties. Yet for all her vastness, Binah remains a deeply intimate presence. She is experienced not as a distant cosmic force, but as something that moves through the human mind and heart. She is the stillness before revelation, the motherly presence that holds space for transformation, the quiet depth that supports every act of creation. When one contemplates their own life through the lens of Binah, they begin to see how structure supports growth, how boundaries create safety, how discipline can emerge from love rather than fear. She becomes a reminder that the universe itself was shaped through understanding, and that every individual carries within them a spark of that same divine capacity. Binah's story is the story of form emerging from formlessness, understanding arising from mystery, and the feminine principle of creation shaping the architecture of existence. She stands at the threshold between infinite potential and the world we know, a presence both ancient and timeless. Through her, the universe learns to understand itself, and through the contemplation of her qualities, humans learn to understand their own depths. In her silent, vast embrace, creation finds structure, the soul finds clarity, and the mystery of existence finds its first whisper of definition. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notifications to get warned about new videos.